Today, on The Raging Atheist, Girl Defined is going to tell us about beauty. What is up, you heathens and demons, you beautiful, blasphemous people? Welcome back to The Raging Atheist. I'm your boy Nakasuchi, and today we're going to once again look at the channel of Girl Defined. We're going to once again just talk about the bullshit they say. And it's really ridiculous. And I only did like the first half of this video. The second half they just start reading a bunch of Bible verse. And I didn't want the video to be an hour long combating every Bible verse they're going to use. And I could have gotten Bible verses to talk about what God really thinks about women. But I didn't do that. I just want to talk about the ridiculous shit they say and combat it.
It's Bethany and Kristen here. Thanks so much for joining the conversation today. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe below. And if you want to support this channel, check us out on patreon.com/girldefined. I love this topic of beauty because I think it's something that most of us as women can relate to. Like, I can. We have been on a journey where we have struggled and wrestled with certain aspects of our physical features and feeling like we don't measure up. I remember
they're not good enough,
many instances like hating my legs, hating my hair, hating my nose, hating my long neck, like so much stuff.
You are probably thinking of something right now about yourself where you're
it's so hard because we feel like in order to be beautiful, we need to look a specific certain way. And for each of us, I think that specific way might be a little different.
Alright, so Girl Defined is going to talk about beauty and self-worth. And I really don't have many problems with that because I think that those are issues that really need to be discussed. I think that there are pressures on women to look a certain way, and I think that it is society doing so. Now, I don't think it in the same ways that they do, where, you know, they really think that society is ruled by the devil and the devil is trying to make women be more sensual and sexual because it's against God's plan. And of course I don't agree with none of that bullshit. But when it comes to, you know, self-worth, when it comes to women feeling good about themselves, despite maybe not fitting social norms of beauty, I think that is something that should be talked about. And not just women, but everybody. Because everybody has issues when it comes to how they look or how they feel about themselves.
So I was at the store the other day, checking out at the grocery store. I had my groceries, I'm perfectly content, minding my own business, and I hit the checkout aisle and I see this magazine. And on the front cover, there's this beautiful woman, but the title says, World's Most Beautiful Woman. And I see that and I'm thinking, yeah, she's really beautiful, but how can this one woman with this one type of skin tone, one eye color, one hair color, how can she be the one most beautiful woman in the entire world, right? And we see that and we think, oh no, well, I'm looking at her thinking, I don't look anything like this woman, and I'm looking around at all these other women,
other ladies
in the store, and we don't all look like this one woman, but we're often told, and we often feel that beauty is one thing.
I have to say that if you're going to walk across a magazine stand and you see a magazine there saying World's Most Beautiful Woman, and you don't immediately understand that they're just trying to draw eyes and sell magazines, that, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and just because one magazine claims that this one woman is the most beautiful woman in the world doesn't mean she's the most beautiful woman in the world. I would think that even most women are smart enough to know these things and aren't going to look at her and be like, well, I don't look like her, I must be ugly. That is a stupid correlation, you know, and if you thought that, I'm not trying to make fun of it, but it shows that you're kind of a weak-minded person. Be stronger-minded. Don't look at this person and compare yourself to them. Look at her and find the beauty. Find the beauty and move on with your life.
That the one thing that's diverse before us, like that's what's beautiful, and I'm not that. So what am I?
Yeah, so then I must be ugly, right? And that's what I was feeling in that moment. Like I must be really ugly because I look nothing like her. And so instead of embracing the diversity that we have to offer as women, the beautiful differences of skin color and height and eye color, nose shape and hair texture, the diversity, we so often feel like in order to be beautiful, we need to fit a certain mold, and that in so many ways we all need to be exactly the same, but that's really not the case.
No, it's not the case, and if you think so, then you are a closed-minded, weak-minded individual. Diversity is beautiful. Difference is beautiful. I can be attracted to that cookie cutter model type image, or I can be attracted to a thicker, tattooed woman with pink hair. Beauty's all in the eyes of the beholder. To me, beauty is in each individual human. Each individual human has beauty if you look for it. Even the worst of them has beauty if you look for it.
You know, I can totally relate to that. And I think it was really like subconsciously, like I didn't know that I was doing this, but I remember a few years back when we all went and we were laying outside trying to get a little bit of a tan. And you have skin that can get a tan. I have skin that burns. But I wasn't thinking like, oh, I want to go tan my skin because tan skin is beautiful and my skin's ugly. It was kind of like this subconscious thing where I was like, I want to lay out and get some sun on my skin because then I'll be more beautiful and I will just be more likable to people around me. I was thinking that deep in my heart, but didn't even realize it.
Which means you weren't thinking it at the time. Like, if you didn't realize you were thinking something, then you weren't thinking it. You would know if you were thinking it. You wanted to get a tan, it was a mistake. But I think what all these videos shows of you two girls is that you're really superficial people. You really care about what other people think. You talk about cookie cutter modes later in this video, you know, cookie cutter models, and this is how you're supposed to look. You are the people that thinks these things. Most of us, free-thinking, open-minded individuals, does not believe that everybody should fit one mold. We find beauty everywhere. You are the ones sitting on your high horses thinking you need to appear to be a thing. And then you promote modesty but give yourselves away. Just look at Kristen right now. There's no reason to be tucking in the front of her shirt like that and not all the way around unless she's trying to show some cleavage. And it works because you do see that little indenture. You see those boobies pressing out a little bit. So she's trying to promote herself sexually very, very under the radar. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not. I enjoy it. I'm just saying it goes against the things that they promote.
So hour upon hour upon hour, I'm literally scorching out in the sun.
We were baking. We were just
baking.
Like, no sunscreen, full tan.
Yeah. I'm sure some of you have been there. If you have really pale skin like me, you can relate to the lobster status. That can happen if you're in the sun too long. But I remember the next day, I looked down and I'm like, oh my goodness, my legs were fried. My arms were fried. My skin was scorched. I started to get over the days huge blisters, like these huge bubbles on my legs. I literally still have scars today on my legs from that time. But what I realized is that I was struggling and believing the message, like you were saying, that this one type of skin tone or this one type of beauty is what I need to measure up to. And if I'm not, then I must not be truly beautiful.
I mean, that's a complete crock of utter shit. You weren't thinking all of those things. You were trying to get a tan, and you learned a life lesson that you're not the type of person that can lay out in the fucking sun and get a tan. I feel sorry that you went through that. I had an aunt that went through the same experience the first time she ever laid out in the sun. You're not thinking all of this bullshit. You're putting all of this bullshit in now so you can promote this ideology that you have. But it's completely ridiculous. You were trying to get a fucking tan. You said so yourself. Your older sister was able to get tans. Younger sisters look up to older sisters, emulate older sisters, and try to do the things older sisters do. Naturally, you're going to try to get a fucking tan, and you found out the hard way that you can't.
For me, I remember coming to a place in my life where I was so tired, honestly, and just feeling hopeless of never measuring up, never being pretty enough, even feeling like you reach a certain place in life, like, oh, I'm pretty happy with my hair, happy with this, but there's still this inner dissatisfaction of like, you just see one thing and then you're right back at the start.
Something on social media.
All
it's like,
over
boom.
again. Yeah, and I just remember that struggle going on in my heart and longing for something, like just longing for hope, longing to get to a place where I could be totally content with who God made me to be. And so we both kind of went on a journey where we really dug into God's word. And there were a couple specific truths I remember hearing and for the first time feeling a sense of peace and a sense of like, wow,
relief.
Yes, relief. Like this makes so much sense.
You know, if God made you feel better about your self-identity, I'm not knocking that. But you didn't need God for that. People do it without God all the time. promote that you do need God for that, well, is just a false promotion. It's just you spreading your ideology. But if you did have these issues growing up, you know, I'm glad you overcame them. Although it doesn't really sound like you overcame them because you talk about this fucking shit all the fucking time. You're two very attractive women that are obviously well off in life. But that doesn't mean you can't have these self-identity problems. Problems with self-identity can happen to anybody. And I am by no means taking that away from the girls of Girl Defined. But it's going to be ridiculous, the bullshit they're about to say.
And so a few of the things that really on my own personal journey of beauty, I guess you could call it, were just a few things that God really used to help transform my thinking were the fact that, one, that God designed me and so he defines my worth. So often we're trying to measure up and we're letting other people define what beauty is, when in reality, those people didn't make us. Those people didn't create us. And when I realized that, you know what? I'm giving a lot of people on social media, on this magazine
a lot
cover,
of credit, a lot of authority.
a lot of authority. What my friends think, I'm allowing them to define what beauty is. And then I'm basing my outward beauty according to their standards. So
I mean, that's kind of what we all do. That's kind of what we all do. We all kind of base ourselves around the people that surround us. You know, I'm not saying that we all dress similar to the people, but in a way we do. You know, I think this is all just something that every human being does. We're all social animals. We try to fit into our social surroundings, and there's really nothing wrong with that. You know, you just find yourself and be yourself is what I would recommend. But these two girls aren't like everybody else. They consider themselves to be higher class. They're worried about social circles that most of us don't have to worry about. They're worried about the image that they portray of themselves at all times. I am truly glad that I don't have to fucking worry about this shit.
So when I embraced the truth that God designed me so he defines my worth, that was the first thing that changed everything for me. And the second thing that really transformed my thinking and brought hope was the fact that God handcrafted me to look just the way I do. And that's a big thing to accept.
God did not handcraft you to look the way you do. I mean, does every Christian think this shit? Does every Christian think that God is personally molding every single human being to look the way they are? So people that get severe, cleft palates, whatever they're called, on their lips, or severe deformities, God is intentionally doing that, handcrafting those people to look like that, giving them deformities. Like what? As a sense of humor, I don't fucking get what the fuck you're saying.
Because when we step back, and for me it was realizing that, you know what? The way I look isn't an accident. The fact that I am 6'1" as a woman, that you're 6'1" as a woman, that we're very tall, that we have very thin hair, that I have a really long neck, you know, all these different things about me that I have been very critical of over the years. When I realized and embraced the truth that God actually handcrafted me to look just the way I do, to look just like this, for you to look just the way, for you to look just the way you do, when we realize that God is good and he is a good designer and creator, and he handcrafted each of us to look just the way we do on purpose and for a purpose. I think for the first time I started to recognize that I'm not a mistake. The way I look is beautiful because the God of the universe handcrafted me to look this way, and he says it's beautiful.
I mean, it's just a ridiculous fucking concept. A ridiculous fucking concept to think that God, the creator of the universe, who's out there forming stars and shit and killing stars, is personally involved with every birth of every human being in the existence of humanity on this planet. Handcrafting every human being. Every human being. There's no way they really think this shit. There's no way.
And like you mentioned, in that there's so much diversity. I don't think anyone is like excluded from these struggles. You know,
Right.
it's not like, well, she probably doesn't struggle with this because she looks that way. Well, that girl can compare herself to all these other girls. So I think each
Yeah.
individually, we each have those areas where we need to recognize, wow, God created me, He handcrafted me, and I personally have to work on this for myself, you know, and don't assume that everyone else's struggles are easy, because so often it's internal and we don't even verbally,
Right.
you know, like a lot of people probably had no idea you were struggling with certain areas
Yeah.
of your body. A lot of people probably didn't know I was. And this is something we continually have to work on.
I mean, I just find it disgusting that, you know, these two beautiful women are gonna talk about beauty and, you know, how they weren't beautiful, but now that they find themselves beautiful because God created them. I mean, it's just highly bullshit. These are two very superficial women that have always cared about how they looked. They have admitted so numerous times in numerous videos. It's absolutely ridiculous to believe that God is handcrafting every human being, and if He's doing so, He's a fucking douchebag. All the children born deformed. All the children born with guts coming out would be God fucking with people. And this is exactly why I stand in opposition to the girls of Girl Defined. This is exactly why I speak against them. They must be called out by more and more of us. We mustn't allow the young women of this country to fall under the sway of people like Bethany and Kristen and this atrocious message they have to suck these young girls into a cult that would do nothing but abuse them. What's up, guys? If you like my video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share me on your social media, comment in the comment section below, hit the subscribe button. Watch what's next. Watch what YouTube recommends for you. Tell all your friends how crazy Nakasuchi is. I'll see you soon.